and welcome to a new episode of the Eastern Lariat podcast, your show for news, notes, reviews, and opinions on the world of Japanese pro wrestling here on cagematch.net. I am your host, STRIGGA, and he is my co-host, Dylan. We are back after the half-year awards episode. I was on vacation. Dylan did some shows on the Patreon, so if you're looking for reviews of last weekend's shows, they are on our Patreon, patreon.com/Eastern Lariat. Except for that, Dylan, there is a lot to talk about this week as well. We had 2 jam-packed weekends, and I was only able to watch the Marigold and Noah Destination show just during the week last week, because on the weekend I didn't have time, and this weekend was jam-packed too, so I didn't manage to catch it all. I didn't catch the All Japan show, but I caught most of it, and we are here to talk about it.
That's right. I cannot wait to talk about it. So much stuff going on in Japanese pro wrestling, and this is the day we get to as much as we can.
It is. So we might just start with the G1 Climax. The first 2 days are in the books right now. What's your feeling about the G1 right now? Did you feel like it started off the ground great? What was your first impression of the shows?
I definitely don't think they started off great. I would say I thought that I appreciated what they tried to do on night one, and we've seen, I think, both shows really. I would say there's some good. Mm-hmm. And not a lot of great, I would say, on either show.
Yeah, I mean, the ground floor is, I would say, good. That is what we saw from most of the matches. My idea was to just go through the entire field to give an early perspective on each wrestler, because we've seen each wrestler twice, except for Konosuke Takeshita and Jeff Cobb, that is, because, of course, Takeshita was wrestling on the DDT Wrestle Peter Pan show the same day as the second day of the G1 Climax happened. So he will have a second match with Jeff Cobb on the A-Block show on Tuesday. But except for that, we've seen everybody wrestle twice. So we might just go through the entire field right here and give our opinion on these wrestlers. So let's go to Block A first, Dylan. We have a couple of wrestlers that still are at 0 points. Amongst them is the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Tetsuya Naito. What was your impression of the first 2 matches that he had?
I'm not interested in this same story of the top guy losing early and bouncing back to rebound and come back. We've seen it so many times.
I mean, it's very clear that he's not losing any more of his matches right now after dropping 2. He might lose another one because, of course, the third place is also eligible to make it out of the group stages.
Yeah.
So he might end up with 12 in the end.
I think he's going to lose the next one because he's facing Jake tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's going 0-3 and then could end up with 12. If not with 12, he would be out of contention, I would think.
I'm sure you could get in with 10 if he wanted to lose another one. Yeah, but I mean, they'd have to work around it. It would be weird, but whatever. I just think he doesn't do anything for me. As a fan watching him, I didn't really enjoy either of his matches. And he was facing 2 of the best workers on the block. And how about that finishing stretch with Shingo?
Yeah, I mean, Shingo. I thought Shingo and Zack Sabre Jr. did a lot for Naito, and I enjoyed these matches, especially the Zack Sabre Jr. one. I enjoyed. Shingo Takagi. That was just. I said it after the match ended. It was a match that I thought was good. It was very much a in-house New Japan G1 main event style of match. We got 23 minutes. It's a little shorter than usual Naito matches in the G1 Climax, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But like you said, it's a main event of the first G1 show that didn't blow me away, but it was good. So yeah, that's what I can say about Naito's start right now. I liked what they did in the second match. I I would have done it a little bit differently with Naito, to be quite honest. I would have. I thought he needed a victory in the first match, first singles match back after winning the title from Moxley in a match that didn't get good reviews for multiple reasons. Yeah. So I was surprised that Shingo Takagi, of all people, beat him, because this might be another case similar to when Tomohiro Ishii beat Katsuhiko Okada years back. He's got a win over the champion right now, but is he ever going to get the title match? And when is he getting the title match? That's the question. So I was kind of surprised by that. The other one I was not surprised about. I picked that as well, and I'm right now, Dylan. I'm at 12 out of 19 correct picks, because the second night was pretty obvious with winners and losers. I usually try to come around between 50 and 60% of correct picks. That usually is the ground floor that Flosh and I always go for with our G1 pick'ems. So the Zack Sabre one was pretty obvious for me. Also tells me, if we might go to Zack right here, also tells me that Zack Sabre Jr. might not be in the conversation about advancing to the finals of the tournament. What do you think?
About Zack advancing to the finals?
Mm-hmm.
Nah. I didn't even anticipate that.
He might be getting the title match in October.
I think Jake will get it. I think that these were.
They could also get it. Yeah.
I think these were Naito calls. He put over the guys he liked to start, and then that was it. That's as far as that goes in my mind. Maybe one of the others will get it, but I don't. They're not going to main event the Dome with these guys, so it's superfluous in my opinion.
So the other one in block A, still with 0 points. I was looking at the table after night one, of course. The other one with 0 points in block A is Great-O-Khan. I gotta say, I liked the first two matches that he had. I was into the Gabe Kidd match specifically, but Gabe Kidd also had a very good match with Evil. Evil's best match in ages. And I also liked the Zack Sabre match. That was much more of a technical match, while the other one was more of a brawl. What I did not like about the Zack Sabre one was the outside brawl. They do that. They did that too often on the first 2 days, way too often. And especially, if you do it in a match with Gabe Kidd or with Evil or with Finlay, I can get behind that. But if you do it in a match that's basically just a technical encounter between these two, I didn't really understand the reasoning for going to the outside and doing that brawl. So that didn't come across well to me. Except for that, Zack Sabre and Great-O-Khan was a good match. O'Khan expectedly going in 0-2 in this tournament. So I think I picked him to end up with 4 or 6 points, something like that. He's not going to make it anywhere. What do you think about the Great-O-Khan?
I thought both of his matches he was utterly uninteresting, and he added nothing in either of them. I thought the Kid match was such a slow and lumbering brawl, in contrast to Gabe's first match. Man. And I thought the Zack match was totally bland version of Zack, a Zack match that he added, and that's kind of where I expect him to be.
I did not expect this negativity out of you. It's interesting because just like I said, I said these. We're at 6.8 for Zack and Great-O-Khan. I think that's fair.
I guess maybe a 6 out of 10. You could argue. It's not like he was terrible, but he didn't add anything to it, in my opinion.
Okay.
A very, very uninteresting worker in general.
Yeah, it's crazy that they never really did anything with the guy. So it's really unfortunate because he was just one of those great hopes in a time where they didn't really have anyone to be in a position that he could be a main event talent, and you thought because of his background and because how he was treated in the press, in the wrestling press for a long time, you thought that he would be a guy that gets somewhere, but the gimmick from the get-go was just a dead end for him.
Yeah, the gimmick was the death knell. It's a shame, but like I said, he's not any good anyway, so I don't mind.
Gabe Kidd. We discussed him quite often in recent weeks and months about his gimmick and his shtick being so over-the-top dramatic and screaming, shouting a lot. As just said it, I thought the match that he had with Evil on the opening day was by far one of Evil's best performances, best Evil matches in a long time. And that was due to Gabe Kidd as well. And I thought that the second one, he came across very good as well and had a good match with the Great Okan. So Gabe Kidd is someone that I think they are high on and that I could see ending up. I picked him to end up with 11 points because on the first day I picked Evil and Gabe Kidd to go to a double countout, going back to his run last year. That didn't work out, obviously, but I picked him to end up with 11 points. I can see him getting 10. I can see that.
Yeah, that's what I picked him to get, was 10, but I definitely think he's getting a push in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. Is he beating anyone of note in your pick'ems?
Let me see. Like, who did I have him beating in my pick'ems? I'm running through this list now. Kid, who did I have him beating? I had him beating
Umino, for example.
I had him beating Shingo.
Mm-hmm.
I had him beating Jake.
Okay.
I think he's definitely gonna beat Jake.
I have him beat Jake as well because I had to balance Jake out because he was winning a lot early in my pick'ems.
Well, and plus, Evil and Gabe have feuded with Noah at this year, so I kind of predicted that they would get revenge on Jake.
Right.
I thought the second match again. They've teased this count-out stuff with him. I thought the first match with Evil was one of his best performances, and I kind of teased him on the last show, where if he would just tone down his normal self a bit, it would really improve him. But it would be almost like it was like he wouldn't be him if he wasn't how he is. I think this babyface version we got against Evil really clicked. This little tease of a babyface run against Evil. I thought that totally clicked. The crowd was really into him. And he feels like a guy that's really working right now.
Yeah, the crowd reacted big to the early dive that he did, taking out in Togo. That was great.
Yeah, I think that totally worked for the fans. I wouldn't say that was a great match, but I would say that he really performed well in it, and the crowd really got into him. So 50-50 on him so far, but a good run, for sure. And I do think he's definitely getting a push in this tournament. He'll be around, I would say.
Is Zanada going to be around? That's a question, because he lost to Jake Lee in 4:57 on the first day. He just looked completely outclassed by Jake Lee. Bounced back to get a victory over Callum Newman on the second day in the opening match. I think you have Zanada advancing, right?
Yeah, he'll advance in my book. The first match, they tried to do something with that first show, and like I said, I applaud them in some ways. I definitely thought Jake was beating Sonata in my pick-up. They weren't going to bring him in not to establish him right off.
Yeah, that's right.
They did it in a crazy way to do it so fast, but I didn't mind. Sonata's still coming back from the injury, last month. It's not the end of the world. He'll bounce back, I'm sure.
Flosh and I gave Zanata 0 respect in this tournament. We have them both at 6 points in the end.
No, it's interesting. I mean, he's a former world champion.
That's right.
I think he's going to have to beat Naito in the tournament. To come back from the 2 losses he took back-to-back at the start of the year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe, if they focus too much on these, new guys, maybe he'll be one of the guys that falls down.
That's exactly it, because, I mean, they gave Newman an early victory.
I don't anticipate him getting any more.
No, that's definitely correct. It's still, well, there have to be some wrestlers that drop falls, but it might be Okan, might be Zanada, could also be Shingo dropping more after this big victory first.
Yeah,
that could also work out for him. Shingo Takagi, Dylan. I mean, he had this match with Zack Sabre Jr. that we already talked about, and then he had on the second night
Naito.
Naito, yeah, exactly. The second longest match on night 2 with Shota Umino. I I had trouble getting into this match.
I think it's Shota?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had trouble getting into this match, but I thought that by the end of the match, I mean, the first 10 minutes so went by, but by the end of the match, I thought that it was a match that was designed to have Shota Umino really fight for the victory and for Shingo Takagi to be this roadblock. So by the end of the match, I really came around and thought it was a good match.
I thought Shingo performed very strongly in both of the first two matches. Compare the match with Shota versus Shota's first match versus Newman, and I think it's a significantly better match. And he added so much to it. It helped Umino along. The Naito match, again, I didn't think that was a great match, but I definitely don't think it was his fault at all. So, really like his work, as always. We all knew that anyway. Sure. It's not some big surprise. But I think he's done well. To get the win was well deserved. I don't have high hopes for him in this tournament, but who knows? Maybe he'll be the one that's gets up and surprises us.
I don't think so. I mean, he just like I said, he got this big win over Naito.
Yeah,
he'll probably get one more significant victory, and then he'll be balanced out, I guess.
Yeah, he's good in his role. He's kind of that utility guy. For New Japan, he was doing the King of Pro Wrestling stuff for a while. And he makes everything work the best he can. And I think we all respect his talent and value that he's in the tournament. And he's necessary. This A block, it's rough. I really think they're already, and I think they're especially, when we get to night 9, 10, middle of the tournament, 7, 8, 9, we're really going to realize how much this tournament misses Ishii in it. They need somebody to bring these kind of matches. And I worry about especially about A block, I would say.
Yeah, A block. It also comes down to how the fans take to Shota Umino and what role he's supposed to play. I mean, I saw a lot of people picking him to go to the finals, and it's also my pick that Shota Umino in the end wins the tournament, because I do think that's the plan. I mean, Yota Tsuji won the New Japan Cup, and Shota Umino winning this tournament would totally play into the idea of this tournament presenting and pushing new guys that they want to push to another level on the roster, and that definitely is Shota Umino. Do you think that he can be the guy that they think he is going to be?
Well, they need somebody to be that guy.
That is correct.
It feels like they've kind of made their bed already. They have to have somebody get that big win at the Dome this year. And Tsuji already won the cup, and he's ahead of the other two on the totem pole. Mm-hmm. It would surprise me if maybe they will pull some kind of swerve on us. I mean, we never really got to talk about it, but they announced the Wrestle Dynasty show a day after, the Dome. So that kind of opened, yeah.
Yeah, you think Moxley will be back for that weekend as well? Probably being in Umino's corner for the title match then?
Yeah, you could totally see that happening. Absolutely. But yeah.
Would make sense.
I did think people were a little hard on him after the first night. They were writing him off against, somebody who's, look at who he was wrestling. I thought it was a significant gap between that match and the Shingo match.
Oh yeah, that is definitely true. The second performance was much better than the first, or the second match was much better than the first match, not the performance.
And the performance too.
It was not very inspiring. The first one.
The first one wasn't a good match. Yeah.
No, but this one with Shingo, like I said, it turned. Like I said, it turned into a match that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
What I thought was, he needs a new finish. I don't that the Death Rider is working for him.
No, I said this all along. Get your own shit, man. Don't.
Yeah, and that's what they push on commentary as well as all the time, that he needs to find himself. But he's still doing the Death Rider, and it's just, I don't know, it's a move that comes out of nowhere, and for these kind of matches where it's a come from behind victory against a guy that pushes him in these kind of matches, I think you need more than just this DDT that seems like it's a fluke victory.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, his whole character. I mean, like I said, we mentioned before, he does the Osprey stuff. He comes in looking like, yeah.
Now Newman is doing the Osprey stuff.
Well, I mean, well, for him, and we'll talk about him later. But Umino needs to get his own stuff at the end of the day, really grow and solidify himself. I don't know what these companies' obsessions are with making guys like Noah with Kaito. Like, why are we trying to make so-and-so a second version of somebody else? Like, let them be themselves, man.
It's really weird, right?
Yeah, it sucks. Like, it doesn't work. Like, it's just proven.
And at the same time, he tries to make to be his own character. I mean, remember this great entrance with a bike that he had late last year? That was incredible.
That was at the Dome.
Oh yeah, it was at the Dome, right? It might also be last year. January 4 counts for last year's New Japan year.
Well, no, it was this January. It was just,
yes.
he teamed with Kaito versus Evil and, yeah.
Oh yeah, what a feud that was.
Yeah.
Glad that's over. Yeah, but I mean, he probably has to win this tournament right now if they really want to push him. I mean, who else of this block is going to go to the finals?
Well, that's the problem with A block. Like, it's like you're just in a tough spot. Like you've kind of bounced everyone to where it kind of has. You boxed yourself into this corner now with how they booked A block, where he basically has no choice but to be one of the main guys, if not win the block, and very likely so. So we'll see. He needs a little bit more seasoning. I personally don't think he's ready, to be honest. Even though I wasn't ready to like throw him away. Like after that first match, people were like, "Oh, he's the worst worker of all time that I've ever seen."
Sometimes I don't think that he thinks he's ready either.
I agree with that.
Because when you look at him walking to the ring, there is a difference between headlining guys and headlining guys of the past that carry themselves very much differently compared to the way that Shota Umino carries himself. It feels like there is a heavy weight on his shoulders because he knows that he is supposed to be one of those guys. In comparison to Yodatsuji, for example, he carries himself like the dude. Shota Umino, he always has this look where it seems like he lacks this kind of self-confidence that he would really need to be on that level. And that's unfortunate. For some, it's just too much to be one of the guys that the company needs to be the main event guy.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. I totally agree about Tsuji being ahead of him. But again, it's the way things are right now.
Yeah.
They basically have no choice,
Nope.
at this point, and he just happens to be in that role at the moment. So, well, we'll see. Again, I'm not going to throw him away, but I've yet to see that. Like, anything he's done has not made me believe he's ready to carry this company, ultimately. So we'll see if he can get there. I mean, that's what this tournament's for in a lot of ways. Like, ideally, that he would hopefully build and the fan support would swell around him as he runs up this block. And, hopefully that can happen. I don't know if the pieces are around him.
I mean,
to do that,
if not now, when?
I mean, it's no choice. It has to be now.
It has to be now. And that's what I'm saying, because there's really, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
Callum Newman, they put him into this tournament, getting a big victory in the qualifying tournament, and he already started out with a victory over that guy that is supposedly going to win the tournament in Shota Umino, in a big surprise for a lot of people, I guess. A lot of brackets, sometimes in these pick'ems, people go for the perfect bracket or for the perfect pick'em, and that crashed for some of those that picked with the wins of Oleg Bolton and Callum Newman very early in the tournament. So, first defeating Shota Umino, then losing to Zanada, both in rather short matches under 10 minutes. You're not a fan?
No, not at all. I think that before I get to him, because on night one, I think we should mention that they, tried to do this deal. Like, they specifically had all three of the Musketeers lose on the first night.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is it bad because it's bad, like just because it is, it's actually double bad. You know, sometimes something can look bad, you know, if you just see it, but there's an underlying reason why something actually is better than it appears. This is actually bad in the secondary level as well. The reason why is because if you were going to do these wins and have these guys job out the first night to make quote-unquote statement wins over people, you know what you needed to make this really effective?
One of them.
Have them actually not... Like, a win can't be meaningful if it's over guys who didn't do very good last year. Like, that did not advance. If these guys had actually made a big splash up to this point, you know, and Tsuji was the one, he already lost to an established guy. Like, that wasn't a statement one other than to solidify Takeshita. But the other two, you give these rookies these wins over these other guys, and they haven't done anything, like Narita and Umino. So they didn't even mean as much as they could have. I like the idea. The execution doesn't work because Umino and Narita haven't proven that this win is that meaningful.
I thought that the Newman win was more of a statement than the Oleg Boltin one. I don't think that anyone came away thinking that Narita is so far ahead of Oleg Boltin that couldn't be a match that Boltin won. But I thought that Newman over Umino was more surprising.
Well, that was more surprising. I just don't think it's going to lead to anything in this tournament because it's not effective because he's not, like, he hasn't done enough for this to be as epic as it could have been. You know, like, imagine if this had been, like, a truly solidified star. Like, you know, imagine if it was, like, Okada was still here and he beat him. That would feel like a huge moment. And I just don't think they have any of those guys to make this kind of storyline work as effectively it could, and they've blown it for, like, if they wanted to do this next year, well, you've already done it this year. So it's not, I didn't think it was very good, like, how they handled that whole deal. But I did want to mention that about night one. Newman, he's got a long way to go. Yeah. To be honest, I think that
we talked about Umino not being ready for his position. I don't think that Newman is ready for this one.
Yeah, and Umino, they want him to be the top guy, and he's not ready. Newman, him even being the tournament, he's not ready. You know, I would argue, and I think that they really see a lot. They want him to be the new Ospreay. They're desperate for him to be that.
But he's not. He's just.
I mean, he's 21. Like he's still green. Like, you know, like it's not anything against him.
Like, that's just a very similar case to what we just said about Shota Umino. Why does he need to be the second Will Ospreay?
Well, because I mean, in his case, that is his mentor. You know, at the end of the day,
I get that, but Jon Moxley is also supposed to be Shota Umino's mentor, and we don't think that he should be the second Jon Moxley either.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, again, Umino's supposed to be the top guy. Newman just needs to be a wrestler in the tournament at this point, which I still don't think he's ready for. But still, I don't mind it for an undercard guy to tribute your mentor like that. But I mean, still, I don't think he should be in the tournament. To be honest, nothing I've seen in these two matches. I will say this, because we got a really great comment on my YouTube video I made running through the blocks of the tournament. Somebody had said something to the effect of, like, it's a good thing he's in the tournament because he adds something different. And that's true. Like, nobody else besides him wrestles like he does. Like, you have a high-speed guy. Like, I don't think he's far from the best at it. But the Prince of Pace at least adds a different style. And I'm all about...
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. You can give that.
I'm all about adding different styles to tournaments. Like, you know, there should always be a shooter. You know, I like a high-speed guy. Like, I'm all for that. So he does do the high-flying, you know, junior offense that nobody else does in the tournaments. And that's about as nice as I'll be about him, because I just don't think he's ready for the spot. Again, I don't want to be too hard on him because he's so green.
Yeah.
You know, but he's got a long way to go. And their hope is that maybe this tournament can help him with that, and maybe by the end of the tournament he can grow into it.
I think it can help him surely to gain more experience. It's very early on. I think that we are just comparing guys. I think that Boltin Oleg looks much better than him.
Oh yeah, it's not even
much better.
And he's 10 years older than him. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's significantly better physical tools, I would say.
Yes, absolutely. On the topic of the Three Musketeers that you just mentioned, when was the last time that they actually acknowledged that these guys are the new Reiwa Musketeers?
Yeah, we mentioned that on the last episode.
Yeah.
That went away.
I don't really think that's... I mean, sure, Tsuji and Umino losing, that's definitely something that you can look at, but I don't see Ren Narita in any kind of conversation anymore, to be quite honest.
He did get a title shot like 2 months ago.
Very correct, yes.
I mean, he's not good, but again, it's the gimmick.
Yeah.
That is a big part of it. You know, it's one of those things where...
But wouldn't they still talk about them being the Reiwa Three Musketeers if there were still three guys that they focus on?
Yeah, but I mean, they failed with all three of them in different ways. Like last year, like Tsuji, they done more with, but like they haven't done anything. Like
it's hard to fuck up Tsuji.
Yeah, he kind of made it work, and they didn't screw him up. They gave him the cup win.
Yep.
His match with Naito, it could have been better. Like to be honest, like the setup for that wasn't proper in my opinion, but it's fine. He's fine. Like Tsuji is fine. It's the other two that you point at it, and even like I said, I think they're not just the Three Musketeers. They're trying to get Uemura up in this conversation.
That's right.
Pretty clearly.
Maybe he's replacing Narita at some point.
I mean, I just think they should all be replaced except for Tsuji.
Who would they replace them with?
Well, that's the problem. Is there is nobody. I did see a tweet where like I think it was Adam, a big audio nightmare. He said he would trade all four of them for Anzai in All Japan, and he's totally right. But the thing is, they don't have a choice. And we're seeing this tournament be what it is because the roster is so weak that this is the kind of tournament that they're. And like I said, the sad thing is, it's like with Naito in those first two matches. That's the best we're going to get from him. Those are the best possible.
Oh yeah,
opponents.
It's not going to be. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it's not getting better. Like this is it. Like this is the peak of the tournament, probably. Like until we get to the final, maybe.
I was going to say you said it during the mid portion of this tournament. That's going to be really, really rough. When Naito is facing on day 13, for example, against Callum Newman. Day 15, he's against Great Okan. That's the end of the tournament, by the way. It's going to be rough matches.
That's what I'm saying. I remember us really being pretty positive about the play-in tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since they announced the brackets and how things worked out. I mean, you're leaving out Ishii, Yoshihashi, Taichi.
Yeah.
They're going to miss these guys. In this tournament, they are going to rue not doing this. And who knows what happened with Ishii and AEW.
Right.
Who's to say? But they're going to regret not having these guys in. And the sad thing is, them being in would only help these younger guys, in my opinion, to have matches with people like that.
Preferably with Callum Newman being the guy that's supposed to be the guy that brings the high flying and the speed style to this tournament. It would have been great to have TJP in as well.
Oh yeah, he's a great worker. Yeah, he would be he would definitely add something. Again, if nothing else, because in the end, none of these guys that missed it are threats to win the tournament. It's not the end of the world from that aspect, but they can make these other guys look better.
Yes, yeah. And on the other hand, look at this block and who might be coming out of this block to make it to the finals, and there's not a lot of options either.
That's the
no?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So one of those guys that they brought in to fill up the roster because they needed guys. That's one of those talking points then why they got Jake Lee. First of all, Dylan, going back to the Noah Destination show, what did you think about the angle where Jake Lee and GLG broke up and Gedo came to the ring and he said, "I'm gone," and then he choke slammed Jack Morris?
All of that happened, for sure. Yeah, I mean it was goofy. And, the whole thing was dumb. Who knows what's going to happen with him? It feels like he's gone, like, to me. Like, he's just going to be in New Japan, but you would have to think they would do something with him and Jack, at least.
Yeah, but can you, with Jake Lee being now a New Japan guy, basically, I mean, he's gone from Noah, that's what they said.
Yeah.
There is no way for Jack Morris to get a win over him.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, I guess you could argue maybe this is like a short-term thing with Jake, and he'll ultimately end up back in Noah, but I really don't think so. Like, I think he's a New Japan guy from here on.
What do you think about his performances and specifically his words on the press conference before that got a lot of attention that I translated for our Twitter? That he is going to be cheating. He's going to go along with the liar man spirit, Dylan. And we didn't see any of that on his first 2 matches.
No, not at all. In fact, he lost to Evil. Like, he failed.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, totally nonsensical press conference. I thought it was, again, I liked the idea of him taking out Sonata so fast. Like, it immediately establishes him. It's a good win. First of all, I do think also it's an improvement between the hat and the monocle. Like, getting rid of that was probably the right call. I would argue. What his future holds, I said, what's his upside? I don't know. Like, I really don't know.
I will really pump the brakes with that, because I said when he came to Pro Wrestling Noah that there was no way that he's going to be a main event guy for Noah coming in, and he won the title.
Well, he is a main event guy already with New Japan. Like, if he beats Naito, then he's getting the titles.
He is a main event guy, and what Chris Charlton said on one of his tweets is that his promo skills are really good, so that works for him. And when you look at this block, he's one of those guys that he's not the worst guy in this block. So.
No, I don't think he's bad. Like, if you look at this whole company, we talked about this. Like, when this all happened, he's probably a top 10 guy, like, in this whole company in terms of heavyweights.
In 2018, he would never have ended up in New Japan Pro Wrestling. No chance at that point.
Oh, no.
And the company was still, it was at the back end of their great run, but he would have never ended up in this company. But now he's there. And I think he's going to be one of those that, you said it, he's probably going to get the title match against Naito in October. That's probably happening.
But like I said, if you ranked people in this block, again, in terms of work rate and star power, he's pretty high. Like, in A block, I would argue. Like, in both cases.
Yeah.
Like, who would you pick over him for sure?
Like a star level performance or wrestler-wise?
So let's say star.
Who's a bigger star in this block than him?
Obviously Naito.
Naito, yeah. You could argue Zack, of course. You could still argue Shingo Takagi, but that's about it, I guess. Maybe Sanada. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of similar, Jake and Sanada, to me.
Yeah.
Even though I've liked Sanada more, like, this year, ever since he dropped the title, I think he's really improved. For a little while, and we'll see if that comes across in this tournament. And again, that's the sad state of the tournament, that he is tasked as being one of those guys. In terms of work rate, you would definitely put Shingo above Jake and Zack.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only two you could definitively say are better in A block.
Yeah. Shingo we already talked about.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, we love him.
First 2 matches were really, really, really good.
Yeah, and he performed really strongly in them.
Yes, exactly. Yes, he's still one of those guys that you can really get behind. He's probably taking over Tomohiro Ishii's role.
Yeah,
as the guy in the block that always has great matches but never really gets anything out of it.
Yeah.
Evil. I thought Evil was really motivated in his first 2 matches. I said it, probably the best Evil match in a long time against Gabe Kidd. But the one against Jake Lee, I also fairly enjoyed. I can't say anything negative about Evil, but we'll surely get there. We'll surely get there. Do you think that's always one of those conversations that with the semifinals, could Evil be one of those that make it? Because last year he did make it to the. Did he make it to the semis or the quarters? He definitely made it out of the group stages last year. Do you see him being in the conversation there?
Yeah, man, it's just crazy. Like, a year ago, I don't remember.
He made it to the semifinals actually against Okada last year, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very motivated to do the same stuff that he always does, and it's not like it's surprising. That's what we're going to get in all of these matches. So, yeah. But he definitely can advance. I mean, like this is a weak block. Like all of these guys we mentioned can advance outside of Newman so far. I would argue.
Yeah, the Great Okada.
Yeah. He's not. He's out. Yeah. He's not going to do it.
Yeah, evil. That's what we're going to get. Zack Sabre Jr. we already talked about as well. He's got 4 points with 2 big victories. He took the IWGP World title after the Naito victory and paraded with it. So making the clear statement that he's going to get the title match.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, and in theory, they could do 2. They could do 1 in September, sure. 1 in October if they wanted. So they could even out.
There's no rule against it?
No, they've done it plenty of times before. And now, if they wanted to, they could even do 1 in America if that's something that they want to do.
Sure. I mean, and especially, like, when you look at the attendances, for example, like the 2 nights in Osaka couldn't have been any different. Yeah. They had 4,177, was it what they had for the first night? It was above 4,000.
Yeah.
And the second night had 2,545 fans. You again had Naito in a big match in the semi-main role.
Yeah, Naito drew that house.
And in the main event you had Tsuji and Finlay. And they once again gave Finlay that IWGP Global title. And in years past, the secondary titles used to be titles that could headline a show like, for example, Destruction in Kobe that they have coming up on September 29 in Kobe World Hall. I don't see that a title match with Finlay for that title that nobody cares about, to be quite honest, is able to headline a show like Destruction in Kobe. They might need a world title match on that show and another title match on maybe they have, which show is it that Tanahashi has his anniversary on? That's Sumo Hall in October, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it is, but I'm not entirely sure right now. But still, though, I think that with these big shows, I think they need a second world title match on the road to Wrestle Kingdom, because who else are they going to put in the main event position?
And I really do think this is the end of the road for Naito. Like this run, I think this wraps up at the Dome. I just don't think he can keep this up. Watching him wrestle.
Destruction Kobe is on September 29 and King of Pro Wrestling is on October 14. That would be unusual that they do 2 big title matches back to back within 3 weeks.
I mean, they did one 5 days apart in April.
That's correct. Yeah. So they might be doing that. Yeah, what I'm saying about that is that I don't really see that any other title is able to be a main event title. Especially
and Finlay's not able to be a main eventer.
Yeah, especially not the way how they presented the title and how they presented Finlay in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
So the bigger talking point about that is, Dylan and I had a talking point about before we go to Block B. The second night being so weak. I think we've talked about that, the economic situation in Japan a lot.
Yeah.
I think the idea of doing back-to-back shows for example, for the G1 opening in the same city could be a thing of the past with the economic situation in Japan, because I can definitely see that people looked at these 2 cards and decided to which one of these shows they went. I can see, of course, people buying tickets to both shows. That's definitely possible, and I think that happened as well. But there must have been a big chunk of people that decided, I'm going to the first one because that's the opening day and that has a bigger match that I want to see in comparison to day 2. So I think when we look at, for example, last year's opening day in Sapporo for a long, long time was the opening of the G1 Climax, but now it's a mid-tour stop for them, if even. I've not checked yet. But the opening day of the G1 Climax last year in Hokkaido did 3,145 and 2,888, and that's not good for that building either. So the days of doing back-to-back shows in the same arena in the same city 2 nights in a row might be coming to an end.
It won't come to an end this year because they're doing it with Sumo Hall at the end of the tour.
That's correct.
But the thing is, I think that they may be too prideful for that. But if they're smart, they should.
Well, they weren't too prideful to scale back on Tokyo Dome shows either.
By adding an extra one, like 1 day later.
Oh, that's the AEW show, but they went back to one Wrestle Kingdom show in the last couple of years instead of the double shot that they did.
Yeah, well, they're going to be a big part. Like that's not an AEW show. Like the fans, like New Japan is going to play a huge role.
Of course, they're going to play a huge role.
Yeah,
but they didn't do 2 Tokyo Dome shows this year or last year, so they went back to doing one.
Yeah, well, they're doing it again. So, like, we'll see. But I mean, like I said, if they're smart though, they wouldn't. they shouldn't do these things. I don't think there's any evidence you could give me that that's a good idea. Now, in fact, it's the evidence that points against it. Like by this 2-night show we did in Osaka.
And then I just saw that they entirely scrapped the Hokkaido shows off the G1 schedule.
It's Sapporo.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, Sapporo.
Yeah, and yeah. But I mean, the first night was a big success, though. I mean, that was a lot better.
That was a big success. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to give them credit for that. They did do a good night and probably better than I thought.
They did better. Yes, that's definitely it. They are also doing 2 nights in a row in Fukuoka. That's going to be another test for them if they'll be able to draw similarly on these 2 nights. That's on the 27th and on the 28th and on the 29th. So we'll see about that. Block B. In Block B, we have 3 guys right now at the bottom with 0 points. That's Finlay, El Fantasmo, and Hiroki Goto. Dylan, what do you think about these 3?
Goto has performed really strongly in his matches. I would say he's done a great job. I thought he really helped out Uemura on the second night, and him and Cobb had a really solid, not too special, but a very good kind of like power match. Him not winning is not surprising. I think if he can, if he finishes 3rd from the bottom, that's probably better than I would expect for him in this tournament. This might be the end of the road for him. Like he might be the next one that gets taken out next year.
I guess so.
I mean, it's sad to say, and he doesn't deserve it because his wrestling is still among the best, but that feels like where we're headed as things go. Phantasmo, they're doing a story with him missing Hikuleo. He's another guy. I think if it were up to me, like he might have been one of the ones I pulled out and put one of the like these are the other guys.
I really don't get why he's in, to be quite honest, because are they ever going to do anything with him? That's the question. And if they don't, why is he still a guy that's around in this tournament?
I can't explain it.
Popular. He was very popular in Osaka. You can say that. The crowd was chanting his name.
Yeah.
But there's been so many starts and stops with him. First, he broke away from the Bullet Club, was searching for friends, was doing a singles run, then the tag run. Now he's back as a singles. Is there anything at the end of this tournament that he can hold on to? I mean, you would. Some thought that he would beat Finlay. Maybe he's beating Hinari in the tournament.
Yeah,
it could be happening. But other than that, I don't see that he's any.
He lost to Hinari.
Oh, he lost to Hinari. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's gone. Yeah. Might be still be. Yeah.
You could say the same.
I really don't know. He might be still be beating Finlay and getting title shot. All of that.
You could say the same thing about Finlay with all this. Like, there's always these starts and stops with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely that was what I was alluding to when I talked about Finlay. Yeah.
Well, it sucks. Like the booking of these guys sucks. I don't know. I don't see a lot of upside in Phantasmo right now, to be honest. But they, I mean, like you said, he is popular. And he's a guy who tries very hard. Like I think we have to respect his efforts. I would say, but again, I think if it were up to me, there were others that would be better used in this tournament. But I think the good thing about him is like the thing that he can hang his hat on is that they are bothering to do an actual storyline with him. With him, like the Hikuleo thing, really driving him nuts, and you could see something where maybe by the end he overcomes that, and maybe if you give him a win or two at the end, he could be like, he's found himself as a singles guy, regardless of how true that may be, and he's had good performances in years past in G1s. So I mean, it's not like it's that crazy, but we'll see how this end of the tournament plays out for him. Where he ends up at. I mean, by the end of it, yeah, like you said, Finlay is his last match, of the tournament, and maybe that could set up a title shot. And maybe he could knock out Finlay from the, it makes sense. He faces Goto before that. He could definitely win that. So maybe they could do something with him. And I think that's the thing that gives him a little bit of an edge over these other guys. Goto, I don't think they care about at all. He's just a guy to have good matches, right, in this block. Finlay, who knows what they're going to do with him. Like, none of their booking makes sense with him. But with Phantasmo, it at least seems like they, or maybe he on his own, has some kind of plan for his character, which is better than nothing.
What do you think about the chances of Finlay in this block? Could he be advancing?
I think it's interesting that he's lost both of his first two matches.
That's why I'm thinking he could be advancing.
Exactly. At the end of the day, I think that's kind of a clue that he may be somebody that they have some plans for. And again, in B block, I mean, he's as good of a choice as any, really.
Right?
I think
I really had trouble picking anyone else over him.
I'll tell you something. I think he did a great job against Uemura.
Oh, yeah.
And his match versus Tsuji was very good. I mean, it didn't draw. It was in the main event, but it was a good match.
And
he's
good.
Going
back to the Zanada match that he had.
That was another good match.
Another good match. So he's performing well.
Yeah, he's good. Like he's one of those. I really don't understand the negative reaction.
That's never been the issue actually with him. That he wasn't performing well. It was just the presentation that he got.
I mean, all I read about is how he's this boring wrestler. But I don't see it at all. I think he's done a good job. You just named three guys that like Uemura never had a match as good as that in New Japan. He was floundering. Before that. Sonata struggled and was coming back for an injury, and it was a welcome return. But he did a great job in it too. I really think he's kind of underrated in general, Finlay. But again, they're booking. Who knows? At the end of the day, he could win it. You look at this next run he's going to be on. His next three matches are Hinari, Narita, and Takeshita. And I could easily see him being one of the guys to beat Takeshita. And I definitely the other two.
Yeah, I picked him to beat Takeshita. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Takeshita's not going to get a title shot. I think, with Takeshita, I think you want him to take losses that you can leverage to maybe do in America in the future. And I think Finlay would be a fine pick for that, to do a TV match if they wanted to get something back. Yeah. Yes,
definitely. Oleg Bolton, we already talked about. He came in great. Seamless fit into the tournament. That's really crazy when you think about where he was 1 year ago. And now he just seems like a completely polished guy with his new gear, his new entrance. He is ready. He is ready for this position.
Yeah, I think there's a big gap between him and Newman if you were looking at the qualifiers. And I think the look is really strong. Like, they play off his Kazakhstan heritage. The music is good, and he's awesome. Like, I think he is he to me is one of the more interesting guys in this whole tournament to watch. Just never mind his push or whatever, but just him as a wrestler. I think the power game he has is really strong. He's got a great moveset. He looks great, and he just, like, this guy, he makes you want to believe in him. Like, when you watch him, like, he's a guy, like, this dude is a badass. Like, I want to see him wreck crap and, like, get big wins and do cool stuff. I love him. I think, and I mean, listen, I didn't think they were going to put these guys forward in the first place. I thought that they were a year away from getting their time. I knew their time was going to come. I just thought it wouldn't be this year. But they did it. But in my heart, I don't think he's going to get a lot of wins in this tournament going forward. But I really love his wrestling. His upside is very strong, I would say.
Yeah,
and he's passed every test they've given him so far.
He did. Definitely cleared every test. Yeah, who else? Renarita we already talked about. Yodatsuji had 2 great matches. Or 1 great match and 1 very good one, I would say. The Takeshita one I would put above the Finlay one, even though that was good as well.
Yeah, totally. I think that might have been the best match of the
tournament. It was
tournament.
the best match.
Yeah.
No doubt. So Tsuji, we talked about him, won the New Japan Cup, probably going to go far in this one as well because he's one of those guys that they need to put into these positions. The question was about Konosuke Takeshita, Dylan. Do you think he's going to advance?
Oh, I think it's like almost nothing's 100%, but I would be stunned if he doesn't advance.
I mean, I had him advance as well on 3rd place in my pick'ems.
Tony Khan's not going to let him not advance, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you laugh, but I think that's exactly accurate. Like I don't think they would send him over to not advance.
Mm-hmm. What's his? Could he be in the final as well?
Absolutely, it's on this 10-year anniversary of his debut. They could easily play with that storyline, and with the Dome right after, like 1 day after January 4th, I think that ups his game a little bit. I don't think he'll win, but he's kind of my dark horse pick. Like if they want to go all out with this AEW thing, and they see Umino and think he's not ready, it wouldn't completely. I think it's a low chance, but I don't think it's impossible that he would win, that he would go on.
The reason that I didn't have him go all the way was I thought back to when Moxley was in the tournament as well years ago.
Yeah.
He was already with AEW, and they gave him this big push in the first 5 matches I think he won, but then they balanced him out as well. So
okay, here's the key with him and why I don't think he'll win. I think he could go to the finals, but I don't think he will. And I'll tell you why. That first night with Tsuji, I pegged it right away. Whoever lost that match was going to win the block because I think the final of the block is going to come down to them getting a rematch. And I think Tsuji, a big part of Tsuji's character is to fight outsiders too, and a lot of his interviews. Yeah. So I think it makes perfect sense for them to come down to the final and Tsuji to overcome and get.
It's both Flosh and mine second semifinal.
Yeah,
Takeshita against Tsuji makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
and what a great match it could be, with even higher stakes.
Right? Yes. And that's why I thought it was a good idea to have these matches within the block and not across the block with the second and third guy, because you can build off matches that you've done earlier.
Great point. I totally agree.
Yes. Yeah, well, so which then leaves Yuya Uemura and Hinare, of course, on top of the block. Yuya, we said, he, of course, had Hiroki Goto and David Finlay as his first 2 opponents, and Finlay was a great roadblock for him, was a great power guy against Uemura, who could then do his technical wrestling to be different from Finlay there. And with Hiroki Goto, obviously, he had a great veteran to lead him to a great victory over him. We're going to see how he's going to perform on the mid-tour and at the end of the tour. Definitely, though, I think that at the beginning of this tour, he looked much, much better than anything that he's done in recent months, especially when you think about the dreadful hair match with Tsuji.
Oh yeah, that was a real screw up on many levels. Totally agree with what you said though. So far so good. Again, this is the problem with this tournament. None of these matches are truly special, I would say. I think you could argue that the Takeshita and Tsuji match was a great match, but we've yet to see anything that's going to threaten any kind of match of the year list, I would say. And even there's not even really any great matches, I would even say. But he's good. He's showing much more than he shown before this tournament started, and I think that he's doing a good job of the best he can in the circumstances. Because again, it's not like one guy; it's really the whole tournament that's kind of the issue. So I think he's doing the best he can considering the circumstances, and I like what I've seen so far. I still struggle. He just doesn't feel like a star to me when I watch him. But I mean, we've still got a whole tournament to go, and maybe he'll get there.
I have him end up with 10 points, which in my block would put him at place number 5. And that I think ultimately is where he is in this company.
Yeah, I had him at 7 points, but I had him go to a draw with Tsuji, and that was kind of his moment. But he's doing good, like you said so far. We'll see how far he could go.
Yeah. Well, Hinare, love Hinare, loved both of his matches. The guy is just great.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I love the match with Phantasmo, but he's good. Like I said, I don't have any real complaints about him. The match with Bolton was a lot of fun, yes. But he kind of tops out as 3.25 star level, so far. But he's good, like a long tournament to go. We need to get him in there with some heavy hitter type of guys, I think. Like I would say, and I think we'll really see something really strong.
That's definitely true. I just love his approach. I love this no bullshit approach. And that's why I always love his singles matches, and especially these matches both have been not that long, so that worked for him here too. Do you think that he's ever going to be more than he is right now? I mean, we always wanted him to win any kind of title, and now he has the never title. Do you think he has a chance to ever go beyond that?
Yeah, I had him at 8 at the end, tied with Phantasmo in my bracket.
Me too.
I don't know how much upside is left with him at this point, especially if they're going to move these young guys up. I think he's going to really struggle to get in there. But I mean, if he could fit into this never role and be like that solid guy, in this role, I think that's a fine career path for him, because it looked like he was never even going to get to that point for a little while. So the Aaron Hinare days.
Not that they are over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for a long way, he really floundered for years. And he's doing a lot better now. So I think he's in a good spot. Where will he ever be a main guy, or even a title match guy? You could put him in a title match, let alone win. I don't think he's that upside is there right now. But with this company, the door's open. If he can really push it forward, we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, yeah, so far, I guess, for New Japan Pro Wrestling, the tour continues on a Tuesday in Hiroshima. We still have the final match of the first Block B stages with Jeff Cobb and Takeshita, like I said, because he was on the DDT show. But before we go to DDT, Dylan, New Japan Pro Wrestling opened the weekend in Osaka.
Poor Cobb, you overlooked him.
Oh, I overlooked Cobb, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cobb.
Yeah, he only had one match.
Had a good match with Goto, yeah.
Yeah. That's all you can say.
We know what we're gonna get from Cobb.
Yeah. I really like him. I think he's a really strong wrestler.
Yes. Sorry, Cobb.
Yeah.
New Japan opened the weekend in Osaka. In Tokyo on the 20th, on this past Saturday, we had 2 shows in Korakuen Hall. The first one, the early one, was the TJPW Summer Sun Princess show, of which I think you said you've only seen the main event so far, right?
I saw the last 2 matches.
The last 2 matches, yes. And I think the last 2 matches are really what it comes down to when you look at this card. We once again have a very high rating for this show, 8.50. I wouldn't rate this show as highly. We had some good matches on this card, especially the earlier ones, definitely those that you really don't have to check out, even though we had a good opener with Runa Okubo, Toga, and Wakana Uehara against Haru Kasashiro, Himawari, and Shino Suzuki. Long match for these 6, still very young. A good opening match. Kira Sama also had a good performance for her and for Shika Nanase's experience level. Kira Sama picked up her first victory in this one. She was very happy about that on her way back to the backstage area. Cool match was the mirror match between Mei Suruga and Uta Takami. They did some fun comedy stuff in this one until ultimately Mei Suruga put her away with the Graton Invisible. My French is not very good, but that's what it's called. Another match on the card that highlighted wrestlers from Ganbare Pro was the match that Pomaru Raku and Yuki Aino eventually won over Yuna Manase, Moeka Harui, and Kaya Toribami. It was okay. Good stuff there. Then next match with Yuki Kamifuku and Kakeru Sekiguchi. Sekiguchi has been coming in. The story is that she was replacing now Kakuta, who is injured, I think, and that she took the role. I really like Sekiguchi. I think that her coming into TJPW might be good for the company and for her to just have some different kind of matches. And then we come to the business end of the card with Maki Ito and Mio Yamashita defeating Emi Sakura and Mizuki in what I thought was a very, very good tag match. Especially Emi Sakura and her queen impressions that she's doing. The crowd took to them very much. I rarely have seen a crowd take to them as much as the TJPW crowd on that day. And given that they in quote-unquote only drew 873 fans, I thought that the crowd was extremely loud, especially for this match on the card. And it ended, of course, with Yamashita picking up the win against Mizuki with the skull kick. Special singles match, Aja Kong over Shoko Nakajima was what you could expect from this match. Some good offense, Shoko trying to get Aja Kong down, which didn't really work out for her. Lost with a diving elbow drop. That's what you can get out of Aja Kong these days. And then Dylan, the two main matches. The floor is yours for the Princess Tag Team title and for the Princess of Princess title match.
Yeah, the tag match was really strong. Daisy Monkey continued to be two of the best workers in the promotion, and I think Miyamoto, somebody I've always been a fan of.
Oh, she's good.
Yeah, and she's doing really good stuff there. And I like that they had a lot of energy. I think all four of them did bring that. And I thought they really brought it together by the end with Daisy Monkey helping out Arai, who I think is extremely limited in the ring. And I think that Endo especially continues to be come in with these great closing stretches and great hot tags. I think she's one of the best in a tag team wrestling at that. So it was a really good match. And Arai and Miyamoto actually showed some pretty decent chemistry together as a team. I personally thought that I thought the main event was the better match of the two, but the tag match was really well done as well.
I think they're not really far from each other when it comes to match quality. Cage Match users have the tag title match rated a little bit above that with 8.5. Yep. The main event with 8.33. I can see that. Especially with Endo, I thought that Endo played a crucial role in that tag title match.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I was surprised that in the end, I mean, Moka Miyamoto was obviously the one that in the end tapped out. But with Endo getting the win over her and Arai being the tag partner of Miyamoto, I was totally expecting Endo to call out Arai for the International Princess title. They didn't do that, but maybe that it could be a role that Endo could be playing, because that's definitely the level that she has advanced to, that she could now be challenging for the secondary title of the company. And obviously with the quality that she brings to the table and with the crowd getting into her matches, there is definitely more for her to come in this company.
What did you think of the main event?
I thought the main event was good. I like that Rika was showing kind of a mean streak against Miyu Watanabe. That wasn't expected necessarily, I thought. She was choking her on the ropes. She was going to the outside, placing her on this cart, pushing her around, having her fall down the stairs. Once again, a very creative spot for Miyu Watanabe's giant swing, coming off the apron with Rika coming out of the apron with the hip attack. Miyu Watanabe catching her and throwing her around. That was good stuff. Once again, I still struggle with the finish, with the teardrop being one of those moves that just comes out of nowhere and the match just ends. That's still something that I struggle with Mio's matches. I think she really needs something to set up her finish much more than the laser beam. She should just think about something else that she can bring in there to make the fans see, okay, now that's the finish of the match.
Sheer drop brainbuster.
Yes, why not?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, this was a good match, but you see the names, and I really wanted this to be special, and I don't think it really was. I thought it was good, and both these matches kind of topped out at that. Good matches. I don't regret that I watched them, But if I had missed them, I don't think I would have regretted it. It was a good match. And again, a little disappointing because these two names, I would really want this to be a great match. And I don't think they quite got there. Tatsumi's another one that's, like, to me, one of the absolute best in the company. And Miyu is a really good champion, and I'm happy that she's got the belt. But neither of these matches fully grabbed me, but I would still give them a rec. I thought they were good matches. I just don't think they reached the next level that, especially this match, I thought could have.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, actually, with that assessment of this show. So it's not really a must-see show, like I said, but still some good stuff. If you're a TJPW fan, you're going to watch it nonetheless, of course, or you have already watched it.
And TJ fans are, like, very passionate. We saw that in the awards categories where they got a lot of love. I think their fans are always really into the promotion. And, again, very, very passionate fan base.
Absolutely. Should they have done the show in a bigger building?
No.
Was it okay in Korakuen?
Yeah, like I wouldn't have gone to it. I mean, it's 873. That's not a
bad
to write home about.
I was just thinking about like usually when they do these kind of shows, they SummerSlam Princess wasn't in a bigger building in the last couple of years.
I wonder.
Let's see, SummerSlam Princess 23 was in Ottawa last year, drawing 1,222 fans. Yeah.
They're fine in Korakuen.
They're fine in Korakuen, definitely. That's just a question. Korakuen, the second show on that day was the All Japan Show Summer Action Series, drawing 1,341. Second best Korakuen Hall show for All Japan Pro Wrestling this year, just behind Yuma Ansai and Kento Miyahara in May. And this one had Yuma Ansai against Ryukyu Honda in the main event for the Triple Crown, Dylan. I have not seen the show yet. What should we watch from this one?
To me, the main event had to be like one of the best matches in All Japan this year. I don't know if we've ever seen Honda look better, and he's a guy that had a great run earlier in his career. They just had great chemistry, and not too surprising considering their teamwork before, but they just clicked. And they had a fantastic match, and you could easily argue that this was among the, again, like if not the very best matches in All Japan all year, I would say. Aoyagi and Ayabe, definitely check out. That was a really good match, too. In a very brief amount of time, I thought that Aoyagi showed his greatness once again. Really helped Ayabe have a really strong match, I would say. Kento and Hayato was good. I wouldn't say great, but it's worth a watch, I would say. And the undercard was all decent. None of it was bad. I wouldn't say any of it was too special. But if you are into some of like the Hokuto Army matches, you might want to give that a look as well. But it was a really good show, and the main event is like a must-watch match, I would argue. And I really liked Aoyagi and Ayabe as well.
That sounds good. So far, I've only seen the Actress Time match, and I thought that was probably the best one of those that they've done so far, with Nagisa Shiotsuki and Natsuki going over Kyoka Iwai and Yufa. Got a lot of time with 15 minutes. And the All Asia Tag Team title match I've seen, that was a fun match with Naoki Doi bringing in Senior Saito, who turned out to be Masada in a mask. Most noticeable of this match is after the match, Musashi called out President Fukuda and said, "Hey, I want to join All Japan Pro Wrestling," because freelancer Naoki Doi wanted to deny him a junior heavyweight title match because he's not an All Japan guy. If you're a great talker like Naoki Doi, you can get away with that. So Musashi said, "Hey, I want to join the roster." And Fukuda said, "Yes, you're going to join All Japan Pro Wrestling." So from this day on, Musashi is officially a member of All Japan Pro Wrestling and is getting his title match on August 3 in Sendai in his home region. I thought that both Naoki Doi and Musashi came across very well on the mic, very likable, and the crowd took to them. So the junior division is definitely in a good position in All Japan right now.
Yeah, can't wait to see it. Especially the All Asia tag scene. Really love what they're doing, and that should be a really strong match. Really happy for Doi to continue this run as junior champion.
Were you surprised that you won the title off of Rising Hayato?
A little bit, but not in a negative way. I think that he could have a good run, and I look forward to what he could do. I thought the Hayato reign, I thought they really put effort into his reign. I don't think his performance was a significant step up for where they were.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. What do you think about the Miyahara and Rising Hayato match on this show?
It was good. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good and sandwiched in between two really strong matches.
Can you see this match being an assessment for Rising Hayato to move up to heavyweight?
It wouldn't surprise me, if that's how they're thinking. I mean, I don't know how that would work.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some height to him. It's not like it would be impossible if they wanted him to. And he's got a very strong gimmick as well that you could put in. And they just need depth, wherever they can get it. So it wouldn't surprise me if that happened.
I mean, Honda is just slightly taller than him, just very slightly, and he's in the main event on the show.
What about Ashino?
Oh yeah, Ashino. How tall is Ashino in comparison? He's 5'9". He's smaller than Hayato.
Yeah, same weight as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep.
Interesting.
Why not? Yeah, on another talking point for All Japan Pro Wrestling is they are doing a lot of title matches lately.
Yeah.
So when you look at the run that Yuma Anzai is on, he is champion. He has been champion for 114 days now, and he already has 4 defenses. And there are 2 more coming in August with Rei Saito on August 3rd and with Yuma Aoyagi, if Anzai beats Rei Saito, with Yuma Aoyagi on August 18. And then we have the Royal Road tournament, and the winner of that tournament is also, of course, getting a title shot. So Anzai could be ending up with 7 defenses at the end of September, Dylan.
I don't get it at all. What is the need to rush all of these matches? There may be something that will eventually come out and that makes this all make sense, some grand plan at the end of this title reign that, again, makes it all logical. But on paper, I don't see the reason why you're forcing these matches so soon.
And especially they are basically going through the entire roster. I mean, who else could there be that could get a title match? They've done Miyahara, Suzuki, Suwama, Honda. They are doing Rei Saito. Of course, they could still do Jun Saito. Yuma Aoyagi is getting a title match.
And you've got the tournament winner that will be there as well. So, really, this month of run that they're doing could have literally lasted the entire year.
Yes.
If they stretched it out. And they just did it all in a month. So, I guess because, he's hot as a champion. And they like what he's doing. So they're just we're just going to keep doing it. And we're going to squeeze everything we can out of this month. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Again, maybe it'll work out in the end. And they'll look really smart at the end. But it just seems like a really bizarre and unnecessary move for what is a pretty damn great title reign.
It is. Since they've already done so many title matches, could there be in the Odo tournament, could there be one of the foreigners coming out? So for the Odo tournament from September 14 until September 22, we have Ryukyu Honda, Yuma Anzai, Jun and Rei Saito, Kento Miyahara, Suwama, Yuma Aoyagi, Shotaro Ashino, Ren Ayabe, Hokuto Omori, Dan Tamura, Hideki Suzuki, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Kuma Arashi, Cyrus, and Joel Redman. Can you see one of those outsiders getting a title shot at Anzai?
Could be Cyrus's time.
Yes. It would be fun, actually.
It would give him somebody different that, it would be a different kind of title match, not like a high work rate match like all of his others, but it would give him a different kind of defense that I think could work. You have Davey Boy, if you wanted.
I'm looking at Davey Boy.
Yeah, see, that's a logical win there. Ashino, perhaps, would be somebody who, somebody's got to win at the end of the day. So we'll see. We'll see what the plan is for all of this. Who knows?
Rei Saito's getting the title match now. Maybe Jun Saito is winning the tournament.
He got to the finals of the carnival.
Right.
Wouldn't be the worst idea. Mm-hmm. And who's to say? Maybe Aoyagi takes the belt from him early. But I don't think so. I don't think that's the right move to have him lose it. I think he needs to be the champion for a while to come.
That's right.
But again, there has to be some reason they're gunning through these title matches so fast. At the end of the day, and I just don't know what that is right now.
I don't see it either. Maybe they're really content to have Yuma Ansai break the record very quickly.
I suppose. Well, I mean, that's at least an explanation. I don't know if I agree with doing it this way. I still think you could have just you could have done.
You could have waited. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like my point still is true. Like this could have lasted the whole year, and you could still like get him to the record. So, yeah. Like I mean, we'll see.
We'll see about that. So that was Saturday in Tokyo. On Sunday, DDT came to Tokyo for Wrestle Peter Pan 2024, and they drew for them a sold-out house of 4,131 fans. An attendance that I don't know. Did you expect them to draw so well?
Well, if you had listened to the Eastern Lariat Award show when I broke down Yuki Ueno's MVP case and how much he's drawn, you would know. You would not be surprised.
We wouldn't be surprised. Going back to that show, by the way, Dylan, when we finished the show and when I was editing the show and when I watched some of the DDT stuff leading up to Peter Pan 2024, I really think we undersold DDT a lot because this road to this show has been very good, especially the build-up to Yuki Ueno and Mao, and also the build-up to the KOD tag team title match has been very strong.
Yeah.
The Harashima, Yasuo Urano, and Akito were really strong. Six-man tag champions. Dino versus Sanjiro Takagi was built up extremely well. I think we undersold the company and we undersold some of the wrestlers, especially Mao. I think Mao could have easily gotten a Most Improved award in our half-year awards.
I did mention him. He was somebody I definitely considered.
Yes. And you said it, Yuki Ueno, we talked about him at the end of the show, putting him out there as the MVP in Japan, and this house probably once again proves that he is up there. He is the guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think if you just look in context, I'm not saying DDT is now the number one most popular promotion, but if you look in the context of just like singular difference makers, I think he has to be up there in all of Japan, as one of the top ones. Like we've seen it. We've seen a significant improvement since he's been the champion in terms of attendance for this company. And he's done a great job. Like from a critical standpoint, I have no faults with his work, like leading up to this match for sure.
Of course, they also had El Desperado on this show, beating Chris Brooks, and we just heard that he is going to have surgery because of his meniscus. So that explains the booking of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title in the last couple of months. Him beating Sho and then losing quickly to Doki. He'll be out for some months. It's unfortunate, but it's great that he got to do this match with Chris Brooks that I just entirely loved. These two were just great in this match. So, of course, you had El Desperado on the card. You had Takeshita on the card as well, Go Shiozaki and Atsushi Kotoge from Noah. Takeshita, however, really wasn't in a match that I think got a lot of people specifically buying tickets for this one. Mm-hmm. It was a good one, but nothing that stood out to me. Though what really stood out was the main event, and they built it up so well. Like I said, in the last couple of weeks, they did preview tags, and Mao always was on the other side, of course. And at one point on this road, he also was teaming with Damnation TA. And in some of the matches, when he was, for example, teaming with Tetsuya Endo on the 14th, he was slightly leaning into the heel role. While at the same time, they are all still in Sona Kamina, but Mao on the other side was clearly playing the part of the heel role, while Yuki Ueno is the babyface. And that came out in this title match as well. Like they were going really hard against each other. Of course, going back to the point that they are friends and that they are in the same group. But still, there is this competitive spirit between the two, and you could really see that with the way they were wrestling in this term and in this match and the way they were hitting each other. But at some point, for Mao, it was more about winning the match than it was about competing with his friend, especially in the situation where he threw the fist punch in his face, which they had done on the road to this match as well, numerous times. So until that point, it was really competitive between friends, and then it was for Mao. Mao had to win this match, but he could not. He was not able to beat Ueno, and Ueno, in my opinion, looked very strong in victory over Mao, because Mao was built up very strongly as well with a tournament victory in the King of DDT and strong performances on the way here. So I could have seen a title change here in this match. They didn't do it. Ueno is still on top. I think it ultimately was the right decision. The match, I thought, was very strong.
Hell yeah, there's a lot to get into. What you said. The storyline building into it wasn't just him damnation. He teamed with literally every other faction in DDT to build up to it. The whole point of it was that he needed to separate himself from Sonic Kamina so he could beat Ueno. And it was a really well thought out idea and a well told story. I thought the thing that stood out to me the most, by far in this match, was the after match where they teased him, he rejected Ueno at the end of the match, with a handshake and the hug, only for him to come out after, he walked up the ramp and then Mao met him at the top of the ramp and gave him the hug, and we're back again. I thought it was such a well done and great ending to this whole storyline arc, because Mao was in a really tough role in this match because he had to maintain his fan favorite self while also being a little bit adding a little bit more of an edge to him to take on Ueno, who has really solidified himself as kind of like a new age Harashima to me in a lot of ways. He's got that ace aura around him, and I think he's done a fantastic job carrying himself as champion. As a match, I won't say it's bad, but this really drifted into that Takeshita Endo matches territory, where I thought those matches were actively bad, and I thought this was solid but not great as a match. But it did have a good story. The story was there, the heart was there. They just went so long, and they're just not the kind of workers I want to see in this match. I don't think this is the best usage of Mao in particular to do this kind of match, even though I thought character-wise he did a great job. So I definitely liked it better than the Takeshita Endo matches, but that's what this match reminded me of, and that's not a good thing.
So did you like the Desperado and Brooks or the tag title match more?
I didn't like the Desperado and Brooks match. I thought it was such a meandering, they had this is the kind of hardcore match where you set up, and then you do a spot. You stapled him in his nipples type of deal. And it was just a really slow paced and not interesting match, in my opinion. But I mean, they probably loved it, but I didn't think
I did as well. I loved it.
Yeah, I like I said, if you just look at the spots, and you I think there's something there for it, but I just don't think it was executed the best. And Desperado was injured, so that probably had a playing hand in that. The tag match I thought was the best match on the show. Just Go and Eno beating the hell out of each other. Go really brought something out of Eno that he hasn't found against anybody else.
Yeah, they had this great singles match in Shinjuku Face on the road as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a really strong match as well. Kosuke was bringing in his headbutts. He busted himself open. It was freaking awesome that they did. Endo was more of a support character, but I liked his new look with the pants. I was surprised that he went that route because I think so much about him and his popularity is his physique, and he kind of covered up his legs. But I think it looks cool, personally. So I really like that match. That was a great match, in my opinion. One of the highlights of the show, Takeshita Tanaka was there's no real analysis to be had. It was two guys who hit hard, and you got a really big table spot to kind of add a little flavor to it. But it was good. I thought it was a good match, honestly. I liked it, but it was what you see was what you got in this match between the two. But
Takeshita helped him out a lot in this match.
Absolutely.
For example, of course, Tanaka ultimately took the table spot, but Takeshita was a crucial part of making that work. And for example, when Tanaka was going for a diamond dust and really overshot, Takeshita was holding onto him and doing the German then. So yeah, it was a lot for Takeshita to work in this match.
What did you think of the Weapon Rumble match?
I loved it. I thought it was as much of a DDT match that you can get. You might, of course, we also discussed this internally already. It has a rating of 9.76, which is really excessive. But I mean, if you really look at Dramatic Dream Team and their fans, what better match can you provide for a DDT audience than a match like this that also has the extremely emotional aspect of Kota Ibushi returning to the company? I thought it was executed extremely well with Sanshiro Takagi mid-match being forced to hold a retirement speech. That was incredible, with Saki Akai coming out with a bouquet of flowers.
Which he categorically denied his own retirement.
Yes. Kota Ibushi being the surprise weapon. I have rarely heard a crowd in the last couple of years react as loudly to anything compared to this return for Kota Ibushi. It was incredible. I just looked it up, Dylan. Do you know what the last Kota Ibushi match in DDT was?
Oh, God, this had to be... No, what was it? Tell us.
It was Peter Pan. Was it Peter Pan or was it another show? It was in 2017, the last match that he actually had. It was Judgment. Judgment 2017. It was this weird Sengoku match where they were all dressed as warriors.
I vaguely remember this.
Yes, he was teaming with Daisuke Sekimoto and Jun Akiyama against Keiji Muto, Sanshiro Takagi, and Isami Kodaka. It was a match. I fail to remember what it exactly was for. I think it was for the 30th or 35th anniversary of a brand of warrior stuff, shows, games. I have to look it up while you talk about Kota Ibushi.
It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, what did you think about the Weapon Rumble?
I mean, even calling it a match is like a stretch. Like it was a series of cameos, basically. Like Ibushi was the big one, everybody knows. You had Poison Sawada Julie in there. They brought out the bike. You had Saki Akai in there. This was basically a celebration of the entire history of DDT, all in one.
Don't forget Super Sasadango Muto.
Oh, that was in the other match.
He was there too in this one.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, it was a series of cameo. You're not gonna watch these guys to have a real match. Like, you're gonna want them to do goofy stuff.
Exactly.
And this just happened to be like the most crowd-pleasing version of it that you can get.
Yeah, man. I thought that the KOD 6-man tag team title, 4-way, was as good of a match that you can do with this stipulation. Lots of great high flying. And one of the key things in this match, and DDT is really great at that, Antonio Honda is a guy that always slips when he is trying to enter the ring, when he's trying to do a dive. But in this match, he landed the dive, and it once again, like I said, the great reaction for Kota Ibushi, it brought out a great reaction from the crowd, because for once in his life, Antonio Honda actually made something work, and that got a great reaction out of the crowd. I thought that the match itself was pretty good. They worked around Aja Kong being in there pretty well, getting the team eliminated early on. You can, of course, argue about Damnation TA if they should be KOD 6-man tag team champions, but ultimately that really doesn't matter.
I mean, they've only won them 27 times in the past. At the end of the day. So, Honda with a great spot. Like, that to me might have been one of the best parts of the Despy and Brooks match to me. So Honda getting, he delivered on this show. I didn't like that match that much, the 6-man tag title match, but I guess the booking was weird too. Like Shunma going out super early, and the Sasaki, they built up this big moment seemingly to Masada, and you just had Sasaki win. Yeah. And any Damnation match is going to have a very low ceiling with me, if we're being honest. And this wasn't even meant to be a great match, I don't think. But it it sucked. I wish they I think this show would have been better if this match wasn't on it. And actually, all of the 6-man matches, I think would have significantly improved the show, like my viewing experience overall, if they weren't on it, because this show was so damn long.
Yeah.
As all of the DDT shows are.
That's the unfortunate part. Like the undercard, like the first 5 matches, maybe except for Hirata and Sasudango Machine because of the comedy aspect of it, but all of these multi-man matches were really not necessary.
Yeah, just cut off the 6-man matches. Like this show's significantly better.
Yeah, I want to say though, we talked about DDT and some of their rookies recently too in our half-year awards. Keigo Nakamura really had a strong comeback.
Oh yeah, I really like him.
Yeah, Yuki Ishida is back. He's very good as well. Then we have, of course, Illusion on the other side and Uni. They are really, really getting off the ground and gaining a lot of experience. Got a new look? Yeah, Uni has got a new look. Yuya Koraku also has a new look. They all have new looks, basically.
Yeah.
These 6 are really strong. Really like those guys.
Yeah, great, really good opener, as they always are. Like, I mean, we've seen these matches many, many times, and they're always really good.
Yes.
The Hirata Sasudango Machine was hilarious, by the way. I don't know why. I don't know why Hirata decided to go with Shono. Channel him. I don't know what connection he has with him at all, but it was basically just to give us this spot with like Muto Sasudango Machine.
Yeah.
But it was still funny. Like they got Shono's music. It was just ridiculous. It's just so fun. I love that match.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun on this show. Definitely, it's always a long show. You know what you're gonna get when you watch a big DDT show. You're gonna get 5 hours of action. You're gonna get some good wrestling. You're gonna get some good comedy. You're gonna get some cringy comedy for some of their likings. That's what you're gonna get with DDT. And what was I gonna say about them? Oh yeah, one more question that I have for you, Dylan. Damnation presented Ryuichi Fire Kawakami as the newest member of their group. Is he the new big dog?
I mean, I don't know what his deal is. Like, he's still in Great.
Yeah.
He's doing this thing in DDT. Makes no sense. Like I don't know what to think.
He was fired from Great, Dylan, because he lighted up the president in this current blast match. But he's still getting a title match in the main event at the next show.
Yes, he's still there and also getting a title match. So
on the Great House show, by the way, they are not going to publish that show anywhere. That's just so incredible.
Well, it's obvious, like, they put their shows up for free on YouTube.
That's right.
They probably think, they might think, like maybe this is hampering our live attendance, which is not very high. And maybe this is their kind of, bid to be like, hey, like, you got to come to the show to see this type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to do business, to everything out for free at first and then say, okay, we're going to do a Korakuen with nothing on YouTube.
I mean, like, in desperate times, like, what have they got to lose by trying something different?
Oh, I'm puzzled by everything that this company is doing.
Yeah.
I wonder for how long this is going to hold up.
Yeah, because, I agree.
I mean, the All Japan president is goofy as well.
Yes.
But this Suzuki guy from Great, he has now gotten in the ring as well with Onita, and that's never a good sign.
No, that's when that's when things have really hit the fan. Like when the owner's getting involved, you never want that.
Yeah.
That just brings up memories of Shiraishi.
Oh yeah. Oh baby.
Yeah. Speaking of Chono, he feuded with. Yeah. Who knows? What about Glade?
Yeah. So Wrestle Peter Pan, good show, great house for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really great champion. He challenged Shinya Aoki to be his next challenger, and I can't wait for that match because Ueno and Shinya Aoki, they have great chemistry.
And there's a ton of gas left in the tank of this title run. I was 50-50 on who was going to win the Peter Pan main event.
Me too.
But I thought I was leaning towards Mao. Like, just to get that moment, it felt like a good time. But after things played out how they did with the fake out, with the hug, and then the hug at the top of the ramp, and then Takeshita was backstage and gave him the thumbs up, I really think they made the right call. Actually, like keeping it on Ueno. And he still has got plenty of guys that he can go against that make a lot of sense, like your Sasaki's. I mean, I'm not like that, but he is a guy.
He's definitely getting a title match at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it makes perfect sense. Brooks, like, they can easily go back because Brooks had that, he went into surgery after their first match.
Yep.
Like, you can easily go to that. Endo, not gotten a shot in a while. You might pull him out. Something. Eno, that'd be another fine defense. So, and you've got Aoki coming up. The only problem with this title reign is, as great as it is, and another part of this is like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this title reign is not broke. Like, it's very much working fine. The only problem is that the storyline of all of this would demand, again, like, we're going to have to take the political kayfabe world out of it, but it would demand him stepping to Takeshita. And, but they can't do that. So, like, with this. So, like,
it was a clear sign that on this show, on this DDT show, they had a singles match with Takeshita going against a guy that's not from DDT.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, you're totally right on that. I mean, that basically says it all right there. But it's nice to have him around, and he performed. I mean, he's great. Like, no matter what he's doing, he's great. Everybody knows that. But yeah, like, that's the problem with this Ueno deal, is like, if they could somehow get it to where he could finally overcome Takeshita, I think he would elevate to an even greater level. But it's tough, like, you just can't see that happening right now.
Yeah.
But the Aoki Ueno match is going to be really good, and I have high expectations. I think there's a ton of gas left in the tank on this title reign. He might even approach the record for KOD.
He might be. I'm not sure where the record lies, actually, but
I believe it's 11. And he's at 6 right now.
Yeah.
So I mean,
why not?
6 more. Like, they'd have to dig some people up, to fill out those last 2 defenses.
Mikami.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not.
Maybe not anymore. Maybe they could do some kind of outsider challenge. I mean, you had the Noah guys on this show for the tag match. Maybe you could pull an outsider in to give him an extra defense. But I mean, I'm really excited about it. I think he's got a great title reign, and like I said, I didn't love the main event, but I still thought it was good, and I think that he is a tremendous talent.
Yes, definitely. All right. Final talking point on this show, Dylan. On the same day as Wrestle Peter Pan happened in Tokyo, we had Kobe Pro Wrestling Festival 2024 for Dragon Gate in Kobe World Hall. And over the weekend, I gave out some tweets on our Eastern Lariat account with the announced attendances for some of the shows of the weekend. And few of my attendance tweets have ever gotten so much response than the one about Dragon Gate's Kobe World attendance, because they announced a crowd of 4,795. They used to go to the 7,000 fans in years past for Kobe World, but this one they said 4,795 fans. And compared to compared that to the show that New Japan Pro Wrestling had in Kobe World in May or April it was, which had 4,200 fans and looked like a much more packed building than this one. So Dragon Gate being Dragon Gate about their attendances.
Yeah, there's no way this number is legit. Take 1,000 off and maybe even a little bit more.
And I'm not sure why they're doing that, because I mean it's not like that the house looked empty.
Maybe that, with everybody knows the Sponge guy, LAC, his funding's pulled out. Maybe they're trying to make themselves look better to try to attract more sponsors.
That may be.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me otherwise. But again, it may not be exactly true, but it's at least an explanation that I thought of for it.
Yeah. What did you think about the show overall?
I thought, it's a tale of two shows. The first half, utterly skippable. Yeah. The second half was I thought the last 2 matches were phenomenal. I
thought so too.
Yeah. And really all the titles matches had their own strengths as well.
They did. On the first half, I thought it was a really weird decision to have Madoka Kikuta and Kota Minoura open up this show. I think they should have gone with the Triangle Gate title match to open, because it was a rather hot match with some quick pace in it, while Kikuta and Minoura really was a slow match and didn't really get any crowd reactions.
Oh yeah, it wasn't interesting at all. I mean, it was well worked enough, but
sure.
the
work was good.
Harsh,
yes.
Yeah, that was a little harsh on my part, but it wasn't that interesting. Like, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. It can't touch that match they had in April of last year, leading up to before Kikuta won the Dream Gate. That was a really strong match. Right. And this, it's one of those things, in Minoura, he's got to get it together if he's going to be like this guy that they put all of this stock into, and perhaps in the future him getting that Dream Gate. I really liked the match that he had with Mochi Jr. on the road. Yeah, that was
a
good.
15-minute time limit draw that was really, really good. Wondering where they go with him. What do you think? What is the next step?
I mean, I think ultimately this has to be the end game. Like, he has to get a win over Yamato, like with the storyline being what it was eventually.
I mean, that's the end game, but where do you think he's going from here right now?
Well, he's wrestling Minorita in August 1st. You could speculate that could be his breaking point, for some kind of heel turn type of deal.
I mean, they've when he had the matches, they had Benkei always come out and comfort him after the match, but it's not like that they've positioned him with Gold Class a lot in matches recently, so that might be a hint.
And the whole story of that match is like, Minorita told him, he's like you used to be good, like why are you so weak now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna beat some sense into you, now. Like that was basically the story of their match. So I don't know, Minoura, he's such an unemotive guy. It's not like he's really shown his hands in terms of like teasing a heel run or anything like that, or some big change. I mean, he's bald now.
Yes.
I mean, that's something, I guess. But the thing is, like, people have been ready to write this group off for years now with this Gold Class. And I'm just hesitant to, like, predict these big changes because, I mean, even look at Jay and Vibes. Like, people were writing them off earlier the year, too, and they reunited. So who's to say Minoura doesn't just get his groove back and, everybody sings Kumbaya?
Maybe that's happening. It's strange though in this company whenever you lose a hair versus hair match, Dylan, the hair doesn't grow back.
Why is he shaving it? Like why isn't he letting it grow back?
I mean, Hio is the same.
Why?
No.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. like this is just weird.
Maybe with Kota Minoura they want to underline that he is starting off from the opening matches again.
And it hurts. Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt, but I think to do this storyline, for him to snap, it hurts that every other member of Gold Class also lost on this show.
Yeah,
I would say so. Like, this kind of takes a lot of the sting out of the storyline that he, everyone else is like rising up and he's getting left behind, but like everybody lost. Like everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah, this undercard, you said it, there's nothing much to write home about. The most fun part probably was the 20th anniversary special match, where they had Ultimo Dragon, Don Fuji, Yasushi Kanda, Suzumu Yokosuka, and Kagetora go over Masaki Mochizuki, Genki Horiguchi, Kenichi Arai, Super Shisa, and Kono Mama Ichikawa, with Shokoflake Keiichi. All of these guys have been around in Dragon Gate / Toryumon for the last 25 years, except for Kagetora, who was a Toryumon X-trainee, if I'm correct. There was a fun comedy match. But then we really entered the title match zone, Triangle Gate title match. I fairly liked. It wasn't anything special, I would say.
I disagree. I really, really enjoyed that. I thought Gold Class was so damn great in that match. I thought Minorita, great performance, and Mochi Jr. is just a superstar. Like, everything he does is great. they had an amazing spot, like a catapult leap up into the Frankensteiner. Oh my God. Like that was one of the best spots of the show, including the tag match they had. I thought this was one of the better Hulk performances in a long time as well. Vibes were good. I thought they really got outshined by Gold Class in this match. I thought they were really on their game. And Minorita showed that, hey, like, don't forget about me. I really felt like he really brought his A game. I thought that match was really strong. I totally enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it too. It just wasn't as high as you were, but that's great. Strong Machine J, in this match, he got a big entrance.
Oh yeah, but his dancing ability is
and he was positioned in the red colors in contrast to everyone else in Natural Vibes, who was wearing white on the entrance, and they even had KZ and Flamita show up as well, who had the title match later on to perform the dance with Strong Machine J. So it seems like that they are positioning Strong Machine J into a role where he eventually breaks off to be a main event talent.
Oh yeah, I mean that's going to come.
Yeah,
yeah.
The question is, how is that going to happen? Because he's still in this 6-man role, and I mean he had the storyline last year in the cage, and then he was injured. The storyline with Shun Skywalker in the cage, and we all thought, okay, that's going to be the hook for him to eventually go to another level, but they've really not done anything with him and Shun in the last months here. So the question with the Strong Machine J is, who is going to be the catalyst that drives him to this next level?
I mean, I think ideally, like, it would be a Shun level guy.
Ideally, it would be him.
I just don't think the timing's right now for him. I think he's kind of stuck in this role until this Yamato story like reaches its conclusion, and I think we'll see people like some of these mid card guys. They'll be able to elevate a little bit, but right now I think this, like, so once this reaches its climax, they'll be able to get forward. But for the next few months, I think that Jay's kind of stuck like where he is, which is still fine. I mean, it's a fine spot to be in, like Triangle Gate, fans love Vibes, but it's not. Like, obviously, you think he has higher upside than that.
Yeah. Agreed. We had the Bravegate title match. Follow that. Dragon Dyer finally is back on top of the Bravegate division. And Hyo lost the title after, how many defenses did he have? I think 11? No, it wasn't as much. Yeah. It was 4 or 6 defenses, was it? Yes. He lost the title to Dragon Dyer, ultimately with a Reptilian. These two have done a lot on the road to this title match. They've been paired up in a lot of tag title matches, got wins over each other numerous times with cutbacks, and they've also done some of these roll-up situations in this match here. Early on in this match, Dragon Dyer, he sold a knee or a leg injury. Because going back to his knee injury years back, I thought that they used that pretty well in the match, even though it didn't really go anywhere. Was probably one of the better title matches that Hyo had in this run, even though I thought that they would have a better match, actually. It was pretty good, but nothing that really stood out, in my opinion. What about you?
It was a Hyo match. There's a ceiling to it, in my opinion. I think that the closest we've got to somebody really elevating against him, kinda, you had the crowd and the specialists behind that. That really helped that. I thought the Flamita match was really strong.
Yes.
As well. And both of those were better than this, I would say. But it's not like it's this huge gap. I think, it was a fine match, like nothing, not bad, but, that 3-star type of level. Like, and I definitely didn't think, for somebody who's as over as Hyo, like popular with their fans, beating him didn't feel like this epic win for Dyer, in my opinion.
That's unfortunate, right?
Yeah. He's so talented.
When he lost his mask and then when he ultimately returned, you thought that Dragon Dyer, he would be the guy for the company.
Yeah, he looked like he was like getting poised for that, like right away almost.
Yeah, and then for the most part of 2 years, they really didn't do anything with him. He was always on the losing end of the Decourage matches.
Yeah.
As the third guy, because they are focusing on Kikuta and Yoshioka, of course, as champions, and he was just lost there. Now, he's back on the Bravegate title throne, and I'm cautiously optimistic that they will be doing something with him. Thing, though, is, when we look at the recent Bravegate champions, we also thought similarly things about Jason Lee's title run, and nothing really came of that. Then we had Ishin, we had Casey briefly, Ishin again, and now Hio. Hio was probably one of the most popular Bravegate champion in the last years. The title, of course, is far, far away from the days of Dragon Kid or Ricochet having the belt. It's a fine secondary title in the company that sometimes gets the focus, but it's usually on the mid to undercard. This one got a nice positioning here. I'm glad that they are backed away from the Bravegate title match, just opening the shows. Or being not even opening, or being on third position of the card.
And that's worth mentioning. I mean, compare it where it was last year with Jason, where it was the second or third match on the show, and now
if it was opening, it would be okay, but being third or second,
totally agree. So I mean, you can't say he didn't elevate this title just through his popularity some, but I mean, they're even a ways away from SBK like being champion days or like Ishida's title reign. I think that they've got a long way to go still with this belt, and hopefully Dia can bring in. I mean, he's a very talented guy, but like you said, it feels like he's not. Like he's fighting to get where he was, like when he was the champion before, like 2 years ago.
Mm.
So, I mean, we'll see. I hope you're right. I hope that they can get it together, and he can continue this momentum that Hyo has brought in terms of popularity, and add some really dynamic matches, which I think that's very much needed right now for this Bravegate.
Very nice touch here after the match. Yuki Yoshioka still not cleared to compete. He said he wanted to return for Kobe World, but it didn't really work out. Yeah. With his eye injury last December it was. He should be back very soon. Should be interesting to see where the dynamic goes between Decourage then when he returns.
Yeah.
So he helped Dragon Dia to the backstage area here. It was nice. And then, Dylan, he opened the Twin Gate title match.
Oh, I mean, spectacular.
I mean, where do you even start here?
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those matches that this is what you want. This is kind of our peek into what Dragon Gate used to be. This is the kind of match you would associate with DG in the past. And I think that they performed it so well. And the hype was there going into this. I think everybody who was familiar with these names really really thought this could be a great, great match. And I definitely think it achieved that fact. And I absolutely loved the finish, which was a surprise win, in my opinion, to have No Hug retain the titles. Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense in hindsight, and it was a great moment to have them win. And they deserved it because they wrestled so damn good. So it was no flaws to this match, I would say, other than Kame. I really don't think they capitalized on him for the first quarter of the year. And this big Hug team, I'm just not a fan of this whole group, and I think he's really lost a lot of steam.
I think so too. The eventual, I was going to say turn, but it wasn't really a turn. Him joining Big Hug was a great moment.
Yeah.
But when you look at this group, there really isn't a lot that they have going for them.
They got Calprint.
Yes, I mean, if you could go print, you know where you are, and I don't know. It's strange. Usually, you think you always wanted Jackie to join with Hio and with Mante, but now that we have it, is it really something that we need to hold on to? I don't know.
I just think he's downgraded. Like the look is significantly worse than it was in Vibes, and I mean, he's a great talent. I mean, even in this match, he was freaking awesome.
He did this wall run with 6 guys and into a DDT.
Yeah, Tornado DDT where he ran through, like all of them in a circle. Yeah, that was really cool.
It was really cool. For this match, I think this match clearly showed that Dragon Gate has by far the best tag division in all of Japan. Dragon Kid and Naoki Doi are such a great team together, and I'm glad that they defended. And then you have, for example, here you have teams in different order than 2 years ago. We had Shun and Luis Mante as Diamante against Jason Lee and Jackie Kama in one of the best matches in Dragon Gate in a long, long time. And this one here stood out as well. The presentation of everything in this match was so special with Zebrats, with Jason Lee and Shun Skywalker showing the same colors, this dark purple, and Jason Lee, the idea of Jason Lee being slowly consumed by Shun Skywalker's darkness is so great.
And using the same scheme as Masquerade. Like
exactly. Yes, just a darker purple than Masquerade used to use. So great blend of Shun Skywalker's character here and in Masquerade. And the eliminations really worked out well, in my opinion, here. With first of all, elimination was Kame being eliminated by Flamita. Flamita has had a great return to the company. We'll see for how long he's going to be around.
Yeah, that's the only problem with him.
Jay on Open the Voice Gate said that they could only bring him in because the Hong Kong promoter paid for the flight from Mexico to Hong Kong. And Dragon Gate was able to bring him into Japan with a cheap flight. So they don't have a lot of money to maybe not afford Flamita coming back from Mexico once he's gone. We'll see.
Yeah.
So the Flamefly and Kame was a great first elimination. Then, of course, the logical elimination was Skywalker going over KZ. That worked out well as well because what did Lee have that he hit him with? Just a stop sign or a box, or what was it?
Yeah, I think it was the box.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then in the end, Kid being able to win and secure the title for Team No-Hag. What can you say? This was a stellar Twin Gate title match.
Yep, like all action. Like, if you want moves and high speed, great energy and pace, this is the match you go to.
And then in the main event, we had Yamato defeat Benkei.
Oh, hey, one more thing on that match I forgot to mention. I really wanted to make this point. I think Shun should be looked at as, I always say with him, he's the straw that stirs the drink in DG. But I really think he should be hailed as one of the best multi-man workers in wrestling right now, because if you look at any time he's put in a position, whether it was the cage matches, the multi-man tags, he always makes it come together and is always around till the end. Always, and there's just no character like him. This is the kind of match DG can do that no other company can do as good as them. And when it's centered around a character like Shun, which nobody else has except for Dragon Gate, this really felt so special. We'll talk about the main event in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But this really felt something so unique and special that the other companies cannot match. And I think Shun should get credit for being one of the greatest multi-man workers in wrestling today.
Great point on your part. Yes, agreed. So in the main event, we had Benkei's first title defense. I thought that the main event came together well with the double shot in Korakuen they had in June with Yamato going over Minura and Benkei going over Luis Mante. That came together well. So talking about the match, Dylan, we really thought that this would be a 50-50 match with either guy having a reason to win the match and going on to maybe face Kota Minura in the future. It eventually was Yamato who went over Benkei in a very long match. The point of the match was that Benkei, of course, is the more powerful guy, and he was able to hold the power over Yamato for a long part of the match. Yamato eventually then was able to turn it around and to win it with first the regular version of the Galleria and then the Ragnarok. So, good main event, I would say.
I thought this was an excellent match. I thought it was like one of the best DG matches of the year, and totally different from the semi-main event. I think this was so good. Like, they really brought it together with these counter sequences that culminated with an amazing knee strike from Yamato to Benkei.
That was so great because Benkei was like going into the spear and telling Yamato, "Haha, you will not reach me with the knee. I will not fall for this time." And the next 5 seconds he falls for it.
Yeah, and he sold it great.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those matches that when you look at it, this didn't have the storyline love that, like, for example, the DDT main event had. But it was all about A, the title, of course, and B, the overarching under storyline, which really is kind of a major storyline when you think about it, as would exposed after the match, of Yamato taking on the younger generation. Mm-hmm. And like ultimately the core of this match was literally just proving who was better than the other. And every move of this match came to that point, and then it ended with Yamato having to go deep and put him away in a classic main event fashion. You know, kind of like I talked about the semi-main was like what DG is so unique and what you think of when you think of the old days. This was like a great traditional match, I thought. And I thought Benkei in particular was phenomenal in this match. He's just such a great performer. I honestly feel so bad that he gets this V0 reign. But
yeah.
But I'm not angry that Yamato won either, because that when we previewed this match and we talked about it, my brain was telling me Yamato, but my heart was saying Benkei.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
But because I think that they've given him this new faction. I made this point before. This isn't the first time we've done this exact same storyline with Yamato, where he gets a new faction and wins the title at Kobe. Remember Tribe Vanguard? Remember High End? Oh, yeah. It happened the same way here. But he is doing much better work like this year. I think he's much more interesting, thanks to large part for that feud with Minoura. So again, I think that's going to be the ultimate end game of this title reign, is for Minoura to take it to him. I will say during his post-match promo, it definitely wasn't a triumphant hero's welcome from the fans.
No,
you know, so I mean, it's interesting. Like, you know, what are they going to do this title reign? It looks like they set up a challenge with Mochizuki coming up next. You know, he called him out afterwards, and Don Fuji as well.
Yeah, sure. As two of those guys from the original era that's still able to go.
And he's like, yeah, well, his promo, he was cutting this like, you know, this company could be the best. Like, I can carry the crowd. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like this emotional promo. He's like, and by the way, you know, Mochizuki and Don Fuji, they suck. There's like no reason for that, but I love it. And I think he's an interesting champion. Like, again, I hate it for Benkei because he deserves better, but I don't hate it.
I think Benkei looked as good in defeat as you possibly can, like I said, because he was powering. He was towering and powering over Yamato for a good portion of the match, showing why he won the title in the first place. So when it then came down to the finishing stretch, I mean, he lost. That's like what we said, it was a 50-50 match from the beginning, and I think everybody felt it was a 50-50 match from the beginning. It then came down to Yamato winning, and especially if you look at Benkei, where he was 2 years ago, just floundering nowhere, with this new character, I think they have a guy that whenever they need him in any kind of position, he'll be there.
Yeah. Great point. I do agree with that for sure. Let me ask you this, because like a big part of this whole gimmick for Yamato and Paradox as a faction in and of itself is that they're fighting the young generation, and he is he's claiming he's better than these young guys, pretty much. I think it's a tough spot when you say that, and then you see him and No Hug, and you're like, yeah, like he's right.
I mean, yes.
Like, these guys are, like, our stars. Like, these guys do represent DG. These guys are freaking great.
I mean, we just said it about the Bravegate division. I mean, it's far away from where it used to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's kind of, like this storyline is tough to pull off when there's truth to this, and you can't have that. You need the young guys to be the better ones, not
That's tough. It's especially tough. Like, you can't even position Paradox as heels because they are mostly right about what they say.
Although the fans, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where maybe it's a good sign that they took this win as a negative because it shows you how much they liked Ben K.
Oh yeah,
so I mean, well deserved again. But when he faced Minoura in their hair versus hair match, the crowd rallied behind Yamato.
Yeah.
So it's we'll see what this audience, and it feels like there's a lot of different branches this story could take on. But we need some people, and first of all, they need to push Ben K more and get him back to the main events. But secondly, besides him, they need somebody that really steps up. Like one of these young guys that really catches fire. And I'll say this about this show: I really enjoyed the second half of this show, and I loved the last two matches.
Yes,
but it's not like they set up a lot. Like compared to DDT, where you had like the challenge afterwards, this was more like Yamato's triumph, pretty much, and then that was it. Like we don't know that no King of Gate. It looks like this year, they haven't announced it.
Haven't announced anything. No.
You've got Benarita versus Minoura, like that. That's what we know. And after that, again, it's not like they set up a lot going forward. So that's something they need to work on. And we've seen many, many times. Strig, you've been watching Dragon Gate for so many years. How many times have we had this big Kobe World show, and then afterwards, things grind to a halt, and they really struggled. I mean, last year might have been one of the worst cases.
Oh, yeah.
But they really need to have a plan to not let that happen this year. Even those Yamato reigns before with the other groups, that's kind of how it went. Like, he had the new group, he had the one that won the title, and then his title reign, I was like, man, let's get back to this tag run. Like, when's Yamato coming back, get the title off this fool? Like, it was kind of where I was at. And hopefully that doesn't happen here. So I hope that they have some plans that, much like All Japan with all these titles, hopefully there's some plan that we don't know about yet that will be revealed sooner or later.
It's definitely interesting. They are bringing in New Japan guys. They are bringing in Taguchi for the show in Tokyo on August 1st.
Yep.
And they are bringing in Bushi for this Gate of Miyane show on August 24th. They announced that. And Okan, that's right. Yes.
What a weird match.
Yes.
What do Ben K and Okan have in common?
Don't know. Nothing.
No, nobody does, I don't think.
They're wrestlers.
Maybe he's a weirdo like Okan is.
Yeah, they really have.
Anime pervert.
Yeah.
Are you accusing Ben K of this?
No, you are.
I did not accuse him. I speculated that that's something they may have in common. That's totally different. I did not accuse Ben K of that.
Okay.
How dare you judge this man?
No King of Gate setup. That's crazy, right?
It makes why? Why not?
Especially with a show that doesn't have a challenger set up.
Yes, exactly. Like, this would be an easy way to have somebody run through the tournament and set up a challenger. But Dragon Gate said, nah, we don't need to do that this year. It was remember, I didn't like it last year when it took place after Kobe World. I think it's best to set up the World Challenger, not...
Me too.
I mean, but the thing is, I guess we've just been watching so long that, we want things the way we like it, and not this new age way of not doing King of Gate at all. They're experimenting with.
That's weird. Yeah, the next tour is the Gate of Adventure. King of Gate used to have its own tour.
Do you think that, I mean, I don't know how true this is. This is purely speculation. Do you think Lek guy pulling out maybe had something to do with him cutting shows or, something like that? We got to tone down traveling, so we got to cut a tour out.
I mean, looking at the next tour, they are in Korakuen on August 1st. They are going to Nagano on August 4th. Then to Aichi the week thereafter. Then Yokohama. Then Kumamoto. It's not like they're cutting traveling.
Seems pretty standard.
Yeah.
But do you think that had anything to do with putting the belt on Yamato? Like perhaps, like, hey, we need stability for this title.
I think
like,
so.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Like I said on one of our prior shows, Yamato challenging and saying what Dragon Gate needs right now is Yamato. Looking back at the prior reigns that we have had for the Dream Gate, that's definitely the truth.
And they've tried to roll the dice on these different guys, and Kikuta, Monte, it wasn't.
I want to say that Kikuta's reign was much better than Monte's.
Yeah, I mean, he just wrestling wise for sure.
Yeah.
But he fell victim to, like, he wasn't given anything really because like that had to be one of the weakest built matches ever, like for a Kobe World title match, like him versus Yoshioka. Like they didn't do anything to build that up, and then they didn't do anything for like 2 or 3 months later until they had the Shimizu storyline. So he wasn't given a lot in his dream, but he's a good wrestler. Like there's no doubt about it. Monte, I mean, it was a struggle. Like, but let's just be honest. Neither one caught fire. Like, let's put it that way. And they might think, look, we need somebody we can trust that we know is going to be successful, and they turn to Yamato for it. I mean, I could see that happening.
Yep. Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
We'll see where they go after their next Korakuen show on August 1st. Like I said, they have the Taguchi match where he's coming into team with D-Courage. he took, of course, Dragon Dai, of course, took Taguchi's place in the Best of the Super Junior, so now he's coming to Dragon Gate, teaming with D-Courage against Zebrats and Kota Minora versus Minorita. That's going to be an interesting storyline match.
Do you think they pull the trigger on Minora doing something?
I think so. This one would be the case here.
What if Minorita won?
He just wins and nothing happens?
Yeah, he just wins and then Minora retires and they pretend he's the real Kota Minora.
I mean, in 2 years' time, when we were looking back at this, would we say it was a bad decision? I don't know.
Well, I like Minorita a lot.
I mean, yeah, me too.
And not Minora that much. But I do think something's going to happen then.
Yeah.
Like you see Minorita winning and that causing him to snap, or maybe this is his win that gets his mojo back if they want to, keep gold class.
I think it would be much better for Minorita to win than for Kota Minora to just beat Minorita.
Yeah, and then he just breaks his losing streak. I mean, that's not nearly as interesting.
It's a non-story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you did this whole build-up, and it's just like the Vibes deal. Like we're just all back together. Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah. But we'll see.
We'll see. That's definitely everything that we have for now, Dylan. I was happy that we were able to do this show here today, because I mean, I'm on vacation and I don't have the time to watch a lot of wrestling right now because I'm traveling a lot recently, and you also have your deal, Dylan, with your job. So it was good for us to be able to cover up this weekend. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot going on in wrestling, but I definitely want to get back very soon. We have G1 stuff. All Japan's got about 4 more title matches in the next 2 weeks we can talk about.
Well, I am not going to be here next week. I'm going to be on the Wacken Open Air, so I can't, unfortunately. So if you got the time, you might need to find someone to talk about these G1 shows.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it off the air.
All right. Yes. So much for now, I think. This has been the Eastern Lariat. Goodbye.
Sayonara.